Okay, we would like to have this two-dimensional array and then return the maximum value of the two-dimensional array that were given by the user. So we need to get the values from the user. So if we need to get the values from the user, we need to use this scanner. So let's start with this scanner. And then I'm using control space so we can have this import added automatically. So let's call it kb equal new scanner system.in. I need the two-dimensional array, so I didn't say what was the data type. I can choose whatever data type I want. Let's make it int for a change. So I have like my number arrays. Let's call it array. And I need it to be two-dimensional, so I'm going to put the two-dimensional array to be like this. 2, 2, for example. Now let's use the for loops to array.length, right? This is for a number of rows, and another for array I.length. And now I'm going to ask the user remember we did it with the last exercise. We can just display the different positions of each elements I would like the user to enter. So I can use like array. I like to do it this way because it makes it easy for me to know where I'm going to be putting the rest. And we do it like this. So this I should be a variable. So I'm going to put the double quotes around that I and then make the plus before and after. So now this is going to be the content of the variable, not just the letter. I'm doing the same thing. So this is how I can build anything that would look like what I want without a lot of problems trying to figure out when the double quote starts, when it stops, and things like that. Just write it as it should be, and then you just change the double quotes you add those double quotes in order to get the values content instead of the variables content instead of just put the variable name there. And now I just need to use this array ij equal kb dot next int. Now I have entered this. Actually, I could do the same, this processing of finding the maximum. I can do it here actually, but let's just, to make things easy for now, easily readable, let's just create another set of loops, and this is where we're going to need to find out the maximum. So we said that if we had a one-dimensional array, I had to use one variable for the index of the maximum. Now, because I'm a two-dimensional array, I need two indices. So I have max I, let's put 0 inside of it, for example, and max j, and we put 0. Actually, we need to put 0, 0, because we'd like to start with the first element. Because inside here, we're going to ask a question: if the array of I and j, any I and j is greater to the array of what I thought it was the maximum of one of them. So if I find an element that is bigger than what I thought was the maximum, which is, I thought that the maximum the first time is the first one, 0, 0. So I'm assuming that this is my first maximum. And then I'm going to compare with all the other elements, and every time I find an element which is bigger than my maximum, what I should do? I should remember where the maximum is. Of course, now I don't have only one index, I have two. So now what I'm doing, I'm going to compare every element of the array with what I thought was the maximum, And if I find one of them which is bigger than what I thought was my maximum, I'm going to remember this, so it will become my maximum. So that I and j, where the value is bigger than the previous maximum, is the one that I'm going to be keeping. Alaikum salam. So that's the way we need to do it with the two-dimensional array. We don't use only one index. We need to use two indices. Now let's test it. Let's run and see if it is going to be working as expected. Array 0, 0, so let's put 5, 4, 9, 2. It worked as expected, didn't it? Well, because we didn't ask the computer to display the maximum for us. We just calculate the maximum, leave it in the memory, and then stop. And we didn't care about it. So now if we'd like to display whatever was the maximum, I should display the maximum is, and then is what? How can I display the maximum? What should I write here? Well, max I. This is the maximum? Max I?
No, max I or max j.
Or max j? Okay. So this is what do you mean? So if I do, for example, something like this, maybe. So the maximum is 1 or 0. Notice max I, max j. Alaikum salam. Max I, max j. These are the indices. I mean, the I and j of the maximum. This actually shows me where I can find the maximum. So instead of just putting I and j, I need to put array of max I and max j. So now, instead of doing this, it should be array of max I, max j. Now this is going to display the value of the maximum. The maximum is 7, which is correct. And if I take this code, this if here, and put it inside, so what I'm doing actually, I'm just saving a couple of repetitions. So now it's still going to work because I'm entering and I'm checking if this is the maximum. And I'm entering and then I'm checking. As I'm entering the data, I'm checking if it is the maximum. Because actually they were exactly the same two arrays, and one happens after the other one. Any questions? Easy? Easy now? But it's always easy when you see the solution. But to build it, it takes some time. Exactly. Instead of max I, max j should be min I, min j. So if I'd like, for example, to extend this exercise and display the maximum and the minimum, I'm going to add the same thing then min I, min j. And then the same question, I copy it and put it here again. And this should be less than, and this should be min. Well, okay, min the same thing. Now I can display the minimum and the maximum. So the maximum is 9, the minimum is 4. Okay? Okay, so try this out, and then we'll do some other exercise inshallah.